Hey, welcome to Men on Everything. This is our look at the world. We're without Mark Clark today, but he'll join us next week. He'll actually join us later in the week for Men on Scandal.
Now, Tony, was that world or whirl, like WIRL? Which one did you use?
World.
Okay, I just want to make
World.
sure.
Yes.
Shout out to the Daily Whirl in St.
The
Louis.
St. Louis World, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I follow them on Twitter and everything, man. So, yeah. yeah. St. Louis World is like no other newspaper you've ever seen.
No, it's not.
And then, like, I remember one time at the radio station I work at, they had a Sunday morning call-in program, and they were on there as guests, and they were getting hammered. How could you do this to the community and all that? But they always sell out. They sell out every copy.
Hey, man. People talk about Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
They talk about what you like, what you don't like. You're always talking about, but you grab a copy, don't you?
You grab a copy, man.
Yes, indeed.
Let's see. St. Louis World, Jesus. St. Louis World, Jesus.
I mean, there's no real comparison there, but, you know.
I got you, man. I got you. So you got your Cardinal hat on, man.
Yeah, man. You know, I am down with the Birds.
Okay.
You know, I'm a Orioles fan.
Yeah.
And I'm also a Cardinals fan. I mean, you know, I spending time in St. Louis and going to old Busch Stadium. I had very fond memories.
Sure.
So I've always been a Cardinals fan at heart to a degree.
Right.
Now I'm torn because I'm from Chicago. It's almost sacrilegious.
Yeah, that is true. They will run you out of Chicago if you say that too loud, man. So
well, they ran me out already, I guess.
Well,
so, you know.
yeah. So I have one. I had one of those hats. It never fit me right though, man. I remember going to Johnny Mac's here in St. Louis, man, to get me a cap. And I walk up to the counter, and the guy looks at my head. He goes, "No." I was like, "Damn, really?" He's like, "Nah, man." He says, "We only get like 2 or 3 of those a year, man. Those things go early, man. The big-headed people shop early, apparently." So,
Tony, I told you this before. You don't remember? You need to go in the back and look for the Mark McGuire collection.
Yeah, they probably got a few of those, man.
Yeah,
so
man, I'm talking about the steroid years collection.
Oh, okay, the steroid collection.
That's
okay.
right.
I got you. So the other day, man, a federal judge struck down the 5-second rule here in Ferguson, man. The 5-second rule was the part of the it was a law that if you were protesting, you couldn't stand still for more than 5 seconds or they would arrest you, and they did. They would arrest people. So if you bent down to tie your shoe, you better tie it at warp speed.
Right.
You know, and the judge said, "No, you can't do that. What's wrong with y'all? What? No, it's unconstitutional. No, you can't do that."
Right. There are a lot of trivial laws that come into play, and I, the problem oftentimes is people aren't paying a lot of attention to some of those things. I was listening to NPR today, and they were talking about the Supreme Court, which has obviously started its fall session. They were with a bang,
Yeah,
literally.
Yeah.
Doing what they did with gay marriage across the country.
They didn't even want to hear it, huh? The gay marriage thing. They were like, talk to the hand.
Yeah.
We're not even covering this. Gay people have a right to be married in this country. Let it go. And you know what? I kind of think that's what most Americans are probably thinking. And somebody's probably watching this going, "Not most of them, not me." I understand that, but I don't think out of all the Americans who are ready to let gay people get married, I think most of them probably think, you know what, we got better things to do.
Exactly. I mean, I think the problem with our morality in America is that it's convenient when we want it to be.
Right.
Folks that we don't have to go into the history, but it's always interesting. You have people who are staunchly opposed to A, B, and C, and then it turns out some seedy story comes out about them, being closeted gay or something like that. I mean, what's the point?
Yeah.
But it is a political situation as well because I think you're right. We're at that changing point in America where people are much more tolerant of what others want to do with their lives, and conservatives aren't going to find a lot of ground to cover. They're not going to find a lot of support from people who are like, yeah, we need to really fight for this.
Right.
Maybe in select places, but overall, it's one of those hurdles that we've always heard was going to change in America, but I think this is maybe one of many more changes in America that folks just may not be ready for, or may not have even thought would have happened.
Yeah, well, I mean, but like I said, I think we have other problems, though. I mean, are we gonna fight the gay marriage thing, or are we gonna deal with this ISIS thing that we have on the table now?
Exactly.
You know, another beheading. In the UK, they arrested 4 guys. 2 of them were 20, 2 of them were 21, and they had plans, man, to wreak some havoc in the United Kingdom, and they got caught, which is a good thing. But it makes you wonder, man. I mean, relatively speaking, that's another step closer to our shore.
Yeah. Well, they just arrested a guy in Chicago this week who was trying to get to Syria.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he had his ticket and was at the airport, and they shut him down. But you know, those kinds of things I think are going to be ongoing. We're going to have. It's funny. I had the opportunity to interview Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton.
Wow. Nice.
Who is, you know, she's the delegate, because there's no voting member representing Washington D.C., but she's been a congresswoman for an awful long time. Just an incredible woman. And we were having a conversation about security at the White House, and talking about how there are lapses in the Secret Service,
right?
Issues that they need to address in the Secret Service. And you're right. The overarching theme is what you do with ISIS as well. She was telling me that there's no real quantifiable number, or at least they certainly won't tell Congress, how many threats a president faces on an annual basis.
Right.
Now, in the conversation, I know we're going all over the place. In the conversation, she mentioned that the numbers for President Obama were up over the first few years, higher than his counterparts, but
sure.
now they've dropped to a level that's equal with the same kind of threats that other presidents have been.
But now we're getting sloppy behavior from the from the Secret Service. They let a bogus congressman backstage where the president was when he was speaking with the National Black Caucus, and it's like, how do you let that happen? What? Because he said he's a congressman, he was in a suit, and he had a little gray hair. You guys just let him through? Really? Is that what y'all are doing now?
That's my Halloween costume. I'm gonna be a congressman.
You gonna be a congressman, man? That's right. Ooh, that's real scary. So,
we were talking about that and the fact that, if you think about the threats on one individual, on the president of the United States, and an organization like the Secret Service has to keep track of those, then imagine what kind of threats are coming into a nation of 300 million people.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big country and people don't like us,
right?
In some places,
right?
So there are all kinds of threats that are always going to be around. They're always going to be constant, and we need to have Homeland Security and all of our other law enforcement units working properly to make sure that we thwart these threats.
Yes. So Monday night here in St. Louis, the Cardinals were playing at Busch Stadium, and some Michael Brown protesters decided to show up at Busch Stadium, and they ran across some Cardinal fans, and it went about as well as you would imagine it would be. So one guy says, if they had jobs, this kind of thing wouldn't happen, which to me sums up everything, because what about doctors and lawyers who are African Americans who get pulled over on a fairly routine basis in this country simply for driving a nice car, right? How about the athletes that get pulled over? They have jobs. Those are jobs. They make more money than you make, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, I mean, but what it comes down to is this, because being pulled over just because of the color of your skin is not that man who said that. That's not his reality. Then it doesn't make sense to him. This is how simple-minded some people are. It doesn't happen to me, so it must not happen. It must not happen. So if it does happen, it must be because you started it. You caused it to happen. Right. This is, and because they refuse to look at any other perspective. Cops have always been my friend. I said this on previous shows, Men on Everything. Cops have always been my friend, some people will say. So there's no possible way a cop can do wrong. And if they did do something that is perceived as wrong, you must have had something to do with it. You provoked it. And because that's their reality. That's people's reality. They just can't relate. And that statement, if they had jobs, this wouldn't happen. That says it all.
Yeah. And you know what? That was just one of many inflammatory comments that I should almost take this hat off. That Cardinal fans were making. I was looking on Deadspin, and they were showing. First of all, there's a guy with the Cardinals jersey on, and he taped on the back of his jersey, "I am Darren Wilson." Okay, you're Darren Wilson. That's that's fine. But then, instead of "Let's go Cardinals," they were chanting Darren Wilson
Yeah.
to the protesters.
Yeah.
They broke out in an Africa chant.
Yeah, they were screaming Africa, Africa. Now that to me, I've always told my girls this, Troy, and the thing is that to me, when you've broken someone down to the point where all they can do is call you a name or attack you personally, like one of them got called a crackhead and was told to go see a dentist.
Yeah.
When you've broken someone down to that's all they have, you won. Your mere presence has caused them to call you out your name and personally insult you, and they don't even know you. So that tells me that your mere presence has intimidated them so much that you won.
That's a good way to look at it.
I mean, because anytime someone does something like that, that's like, you won. You won. You won. You reduced them to the lowest common denominator, name calling. Grown people calling someone a name. That's what you've been reduced to less than rubble. You know what I'm saying?
Damn. Yeah.
I
think, and I agree with you, Tony. I think that's absolutely the thought process that folks have to have. Especially, I have to commend, you're there. And I know that it's easy for folks that don't live outside of St. Louis to stay connected to, the Michael Brown story and what's going on in Ferguson. But from the outside looking in and as journalists just kind of checking on the story, I want to commend folks that are still fighting the fight,
Mm-hmm.
That are activists that are saying that we're not going to have this happen in this community, and we're going to move on to the next community and make sure that things like this don't happen again. They're still vigilant. They're still there, whether there's a 5-second rule or not, whether there's some unruly Cardinal fans talking a bunch of BS. They're still going to be there. They're still going to protest, and they're still going to make their voice be heard. And a lot of people don't do that.
No.
We get to the point where we're just, they don't understand me. I don't understand them. And then you have that, we're here, they're here, we ain't going nowhere,
Right.
They ain't going nowhere.
Right.
And you got to get people to the point where we have to coexist and understand each other's perspectives. And, I got to tip my hat to those folks.
Yeah.
But
But there are some though, like Saturday night, there were protesters at the St. Louis Symphony,
mm-hmm.
and they just stood up and they started singing, and they started, saying Black Lives Matter, and it wasn't just African Americans doing this. There were lots of white people doing it, and the conductor, he stopped, and he looked at them, and he just let them do what they came to do. Right? It was peaceful. It was nonviolent. It was not confrontational. And yet some people were posted on social media that folks need to quit acting like asses and behave. You don't act like that in public. And it's like, you've never fought for anything, have you? You've never had something affect you so much that you had to do something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right, Tony. If people, as it was put, didn't act like asses 55 years ago, then there'd still be a colored water fountain.
Mm-hmm.
There'd still be inequality in the workplace. There'd still be buses that you had to sit in the back of if you happened to be African American for no other reason other than the color of your skin.
Yeah.
So if you got to be an ass for a good reason.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean?
That's right.
Get your ass on.
Get your ass on. There you go. Hey, man, Raven-Symoné was talking with Oprah, and she admitted that she's in a very loving relationship with a woman, which we all kind of knew she was gay, and we don't really care. And then she got people up in arms because she said she does not want to be labeled as gay, and she does not want to be labeled as African American. And people took that as a slap in the face. People took that as, even Roland Martin was tweeting, we need to get her DNA test. But and my take on it is this: I don't think she wants to be labeled anything. I think she knows she's an African American. She knows she's black. She knows this, but she don't want to be labeled as such. But she knows it. She just don't want to be. She doesn't like labels. Mm-hmm. And I don't think she's denying that she's African American. I think she just does prefer not to be called anything.
I saw this, and I know people are up in arms, and it was kind of like, you know, Raven-Symoné made her own personal statement about here's how I live my life, and I think why people took an issue with it was she said this to Oprah Winfrey. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what? Oprah had to stop the show. Like, girl, what's wrong with you? Do you know who you're talking to? I'm Oprah. You know, so I think I think she may have maybe she chose the right moment. Maybe she didn't choose the right moment. I know people are saying that because you're in the public eye, what you say carries an awful lot. It may be maybe people are nostalgic because they feel like Raven-Symoné grew up in front of our eyes.
Mm-hmm.
She was the Huxtable's grandchild.
The little Olivia, yes.
She was little old Olivia,
Mm-hmm.
and who was walking around, by the way, in kente cloth jumpers. So I mean, she. If you didn't know she was black, you just had to look at her outfit.
Yeah.
She had the kufi hat on and everything.
Right.
So here, she's obviously had a profoundly successful career and made a lot of money and all of that stuff. I think, she gave an answer to Oprah's questions. I found it interesting that she said, "I don't want to be labeled. I'm not a lesbian. I'm a human being. I don't know my ancestry. I'm an American." So, first thing I thought of, well, you just labeled yourself.
That's true, though. That is true.
You put one label on you, and ignorance is bliss. There's no excuse for her not to know her lineage and her. Maybe she does. Maybe she was just saying that in one of those interview kind of situations. You're sitting with Oprah, so you have to be, smart and creative and witty or whatever the case may be. But I don't think she necessarily made the right move with that, especially this week,
Mm-hmm.
especially right now. When the Supreme Court is, whether they do it loudly or quietly, but basically are validating people being able to marry who they want to marry and be with who they want to be and be able to take care of family members and a significant other. And here you show up and you could have said, "This is great. I'm proud to be an American," which is what she tweeted a while ago because, gay marriage was moving in this direction. But when she had an opportunity to kind of back it up, it was like,
She dropped the ball.
Yeah, she dropped the ball on that.
Yeah.
And I think folks that are, much more in tune with what it means to be an African American and more than I am even, people that really study and pay attention to the messages that are delivered, because we all saw it, people that are consuming this kind of information, she may have missed an opportunity. She might have to go back and check on that one again. Although I don't know if she'll be on another Oprah interview.
Right.
The show was called Where Are They Now?
Yeah.
And I think that pretty much is it. Once you're on Where Are They Now?
Well, you know what? She's only 28.
She's 20. You know what, Tony? I gotta say, after the Cosby Show, she had a Saturday.
That's So Raven, big
That's
show.
So Raven. It was a huge show. It was her own production.
Yeah, that was her company. She made a killing.
She made a killing on that, and I have to say, I don't know how much Saturday TV you watch, but I've caught the show a few times. I thought it was funny. She's creative.
Mm-hmm.
She's a great actress. It was just really.
Yeah. I saw lots of talent because my girls watched it. So,
I thought she did a great job on the show, and you're right. She's so young. This moment that she just had could be one of those, when she's 54, the Oprah Winfrey of 30 years from now is going to be like,
yeah.
What was up with that?
Well, we'll
want to
see.
flip that around a little bit?
But young people, they don't see the world like we see the world.
No, that's true.
They don't. So, Lil Boosie did an interview where he said that being an African American is like the worst race to be, and people were calling him out on that. But I think people, it's very easy to take things out in context, and his point being that we kill each other. You know, this is what he was saying. We rob each other. You know, we're hurting our own communities. He says, you don't see Jewish people doing that. You don't see Italian people selling drugs to each other. They get the drugs and they sell it to the black community. In the black community, the black drug dealers get drugs, they sell it to the black community. You know, and so he was saying that being an African American is the worst race to be because, you know, all this black on black stuff that's going on that's negative makes it tough.
I'm sorry, Little Boosie?
Yeah.
Okay. Shut up, Boosie. Shut up. I mean,
I thought he made some points though.
He made some points, Tony. I mean, but you know, how much did he contribute to some of that with his lyrical content? Mm-hmm. I don't know, because I haven't honestly. You know, I have to admit, and we haven't talked about music a lot on the show, but I'm a Kendrick Lamar fan. I love Kendrick Lamar. Mm-hmm. And Tony, in my old age, I realized that I can't pay attention to the 90. There might be 90 other artists that are out right now that are really good, but I'm stuck on one person.
Right.
Right. You know, it's like the person who eats the same meal every day. Mm-hmm. I can listen to Kendrick all day, all night. Can't wait for the new album to come out. So I'm not up on Little Boosie's discography.
Got you. I got you.
But, you know, maybe he does have some valid points, but I think, you know, you are a product of your environment. You know?
But at some point, though, that argument has to stop somewhere because somebody's got to take a stand and say, I'm a product of my environment, but. Because if people keep saying I'm a product of my environment, that cycle will just continue to go round and round again, and nothing. You know, we're a nation of excuses, and we make an excuse about everything.
And what I'm saying when I say that is that may be some of his experience, but you know, the best remedy for that is to see something else. You know, to expand your horizons and understand that you know, if we're killing each other, then we need to stop killing each other. And you know what? There are places we can go where we aren't killing each other, like a university.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
You know, or you know, a neighborhood that looks out for each other.
Right.
I mean, you know, there's a counterpoint to whatever you're saying.
Yeah.
And that I don't think he took into consideration because, you know, you just need to expand your horizons some. You know, that's it's true. Not bad. How can we say it's, you know, what he black is the worst race. What did he say? Worst race to be?
Yeah. Come
on now. That doesn't make any sense. That's ridiculous.
All right.
Tony, there was a situation I just saw on the news. A man is, I think he's pursuing some charges against a police department in Indiana. That as they were trying to arrest him, they broke the window with
then they tased him.
And tased him through the window of the car. Now his son or grandson took the photograph or you know, caught it on video, and you know, you see this axe coming through a window, and the guy got tased. It's really dramatic. You know, he was saying that the police officers weren't listening to what he had to say. There was some obviously a failure to communicate going on in that situation. But it was funny to kind of compare what Boosie said. He was saying, you know, he was trying to explain, you know, he felt scared. He didn't know what was going on. And then he said, I remembered I was black. And, you know, it was like right at the end, it was like, you know, yeah.
I don't think he remembered he was black. I think he got reminded he was black.
He did get a reminder.
It's interesting though how, like, you know, people are capturing these moments with their smartphones now, and it may be those very videos that may change the world. It may be because, you know, with the Ray Rice thing, like I said before, we know people who've been victims of domestic violence, right? We know people, but we never saw it.
Yeah, we
saw it, and it changed people's. You know, it changed the league. It changed the National Football League. You know, and seeing things like what you're talking about, the video to it, and I was like, people are going to understand, start to see that there is a problem. Now I mean, we've been telling you, and people have been telling about what happened to them, but that's telling. Now we're going to show you, because people are starting to use their phones to record lots of different things. That may be the thing that changes how. And for this conversation, the police are trained in the future.
Well, if the body cam situation comes into play, I know they're starting to test body cams here in Washington D.C.
But the cameras have to be turned on.
And there's a whole conversation about how and when a camera can be used.
Yeah.
I heard the police chief here in D.C. talk about, if you're speaking to an informant, that would be a situation where the officer would likely turn the camera off to protect the informant, and he's getting some, information. If the officer has to go to the can, she's going to turn her camera off,
right?
Because she has the expectation of privacy to go to the bathroom. But then there might even be some situations where a citizen can say, "Hey, I have an expectation of privacy right now.
Mm-hmm.
While you have that camera on, you need to turn it off." So a lot of that stuff is gonna have to be worked out. But maybe you're right. Hopefully it's a better situation for everybody.
Yeah.
We see how police are operating, and it's clear whether or not you are cooperative or not with a police officer. So I'm interested to see how this plays out. I'm sure there are gonna be some battles, though, legally, on how this all works out in the long run.
So actress Jennifer Lawrence, she was one of the people whose new pictures were hacked, and they were put on the internet. And she did an interview recently, and she says
that was a fappening, Tony. The fappening.
The fappening, yes. But to her, this was a sex crime.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can put it on the level of a sex crime, because there was, when I think of a sex crime, sexual assault, I think of rape.
Right.
I think of forcible sex. Now, there was no sex involved in this. I'm not discounting how important it is. I got 3 girls. Mm-hmm. So I understand that, but I don't know if it rises to the level of a sex crime is very serious. Not saying that's not serious.
Well, is it in the viewpoint, and I'm not F. Lee Bailey, but in the viewpoint of like child pornography, that's a sex crime. Let's say even if sex was not in the situation, but you're taking sexual photographs of a child. So, there are images that without their knowledge or consent that are now publicized. I think that's probably the angle that she and her lawyers are probably going to try to go with.
I think we need a new category that's just as important as a sex crime. But I don't know if sex crime is the right word for that. That troubles me, because I don't want to appear to be unsympathetic, but I also understand that sex crimes by nature are usually very violent.
Yes.
And so that's why I say this is not a sex crime. And I'm just it's almost like gay people say, "Oh, this is our civil rights movement," and African Americans are offended by them using the word civil rights. But when you really think about it, it's kind of close, but maybe it just needs to be termed another way. But because civil rights was about race, and the gay rights is not about race.
It's still civil, though.
It's still civil.
It's a civil right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think in those instances, when I think about that and how African Americans obviously kind of set the groundwork for other races navigating the United States, living in the United States. Latinos built on what African Americans were able to do when it comes to civil rights, and now, it is a civil right from the gay and lesbian community. I don't think Martin Luther King Jr. would have a problem with that. I think he wanted equality for all people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what civil rights is to me. you know, civil rights never implied, in my opinion, just for black people.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about, you know, something that's gender specific. I don't know how you could, you know, just say that's not fair to use the term civil right. I'm not buying that. I don't think Martin Luther King would be too happy about people saying that.
So our last story today is about a woman in Colombia. She's 22 years old, and she went to the hospital with abdominal pains, and she had a potato inside her vagina.
Yeah.
Her mom told her to put it there as birth control.
You want fries with that?
The potato was there for 2 weeks, and it had grown roots.
Yeah.
Now
That's what happens.
She didn't have to have surgery, but they did. They had to remove the potato and the roots, or as we like to say, the roots. But it got me to thinking, wow, you're 22 years old and you do everything your mom tells you to do. You do everything she tells you to do.
This is the perfect time for the Three Stooges to come back. We need to line her and her mother up and give them one of those Molary. Plow! What the hell is wrong with you?
Wow, why would you put a potato in your vagina? For thinking that that's going to keep you from being pregnant. I just don't know where in your right mind. And actually, I guess I'm talking more to the mother than the daughter, because the mother is older and she should know better.
Well, she used a rutabaga back in the day, so I mean, she switched it up a little bit. You know, the rutabaga was too much. Try a potato.
Man, how would you like to be that 22-year-old man, and then you had sex, and then she told you, and you're like, I ain't feel nothing. Well, what does that say about you? what does that say about you, man? I mean, that's. I don't know, man. I don't know. I just do not know.
I saw that story, Tony, and you know. This is wrong for so many reasons. One, yes, the potato, you know, in the vagina. That was, and the advice was given by the mother.
Mm-hmm.
And then it actually grew. It sprouted, man.
It did sprout.
A potato was growing in a flower. What the hell is going on?
It's the world we live in, man. It's the world. It is the world we live in. So, all right, we'll wrap it up right there. I do a daily Monday through Friday podcast that you can catch. You can go to talking360.com and click on the audio only button, and you can listen to it. It's available on the audio on YouTube. Well, you'll only get the audio. It's available on Spreaker, on Podbean, on iHeartRadio, and in iTunes.
Let me tell you something. Tony's podcast show is amazing.
Thank you, man.
It is. I mean, you know, Tony is an insightful person. I'm giving him some props here. He's insightful. You know, you come across as somebody who really has taken the time to think about what you're going to talk about, not just yammer off like me. and Tony's just got that good old-fashioned common sense.
Well, thank you, man.
Tony's thinking with his head.
Well, yeah.
He didn't tell anybody using potatoes on themselves.
No, I would never tell anybody to put a potato in their vagina. No, I would not. I would not do that. What a waste of, and I love potatoes, but what a waste of a potato, man.
Man, there's so much we could have done with that.
Oh, man.
Julienne, French fries.
Shoestrings, a baker. How about a baked potato? Potatoes au gratin, potato salad, and I don't eat anybody's potato salad. So
I bet you don't eat her potato salad. Boy, don't eat that one.
Man, so check out the podcast. Also, we have a Men on Scandal show that we do. You go to menonscandal.com. We recap every episode of Scandal. Scandal is this week's episode. We'll have it for you later this week, so we'll have that. And the website, talking360.com. You can subscribe to the newsletter right there. So we do everything.
Everything up in here.
Yeah, so that's Troy Johnson at WHUR in Washington, D.C. Mark Clark will join us next week. I'm Tony Scott. Thanks for watching Men on Everything.